enter into. You can get a loan when you're a teenager, but your parents have to also sign off on it. So they would co-sign a loan with you, which means that essentially, like, if you're under 18, or if you don't have a good credit score, what that means is that that they are responsible for paying the loan if you don't. In fact, let's add that to the vocab list. Take out your vocab list again. Let's add the word credit score to the bottom of it. Anybody know what a credit score is? Connor.
I'm going to take a wild guess, but is that like based on like your payments and how quickly you pay them, how often you pay them, your bank will give you a score depending on that?
Exactly. And not just the bank will give you a score, but everybody will. This is a score between 300 and 850. If you have never had a credit card, if you've never taken out a loan, you don't have a credit score. Anybody in here have a credit card? Anybody in here co-sign a loan with anybody? Okay, so nobody in this room besides me has a credit score. And the higher your credit score, the more likely they're willing to give you a loan in the future. Because basically it's like a number that says how dependable you are on paying off your bills. So also, if you are like renting from somebody and you are paying like utility bills and stuff like that, if you suddenly stop and they report you, then you could start getting a low credit score. So if you had a score of like, usually about 700 is where they start giving the big loans. We're like my husband and I, even though we were poor and we didn't have a lot of money, both of us had credit scores that were over 750. So together we could get a loan on our house for about whatever was left after we paid our down payment, $165,000. So it was significant. It is important that you have a credit score in this society unless you are capable of paying for everything by cash. If you ever think you're going to get a loan, I highly suggest that you get a credit card when you're in college. Not to use if you don't trust yourself with money. Anybody know right now, like, I don't think I trust myself with that. And if that's you, good for you for knowing that. But once you get to the point when you know it, here's what you do. You take your credit card and you always buy your gas or you always buy your groceries with your credit card. Assign it something. Like, be like, I'm only going to pay for this with my credit card, and then every month pay it off. And then you build up that credit score. If you always pay off every bit of your loan every month, you will have a perfect credit score. And then later in life, when you need to buy something big and you need a loan for that, there you go. And it's not just about paying off all of it. It's always paying at least your minimum payment or whatever is due for you that month. You can also check your credit score online. Have you seen like a lot of that? Like, I'm sure you've seen advertisements for checking your credit score. Yeah. And so it's basically something where you can check your score. So this is kind of like a score that measures, and I don't know what I'm sure there's formulas, but I don't know what it is. It's a score that measures your ability to pay off loans, including credit cards. Also, what will lower your score is if you have too many credit cards, and if you like take out like more than, I don't think like the number's like 5 credit cards. You know how like you can actually get a credit card with multiple stores. Like you could get a Target credit card, and then that gives you like discounts in Target. You could, name like a big chain store, like Home Depot, Menards, all of them have like their own credit card. Walmart does too. You could buy it, but if you get one for every store, once you get beyond 5, then they start thinking you more of a risky spender, that you're spending too much from 2 different owing too much money at one time. Did you have a question?
I did, and then I did.
Okay. So let's try this one. This is a calculator. Often, instead of doing the math themselves, they've got like a little table that tells you how much money something would be. Yeah, Connor?
I remembered it. So why is like some places when you check your credit score, why is it like a little bit better?
Because the more times people are checking your credit score, whether it is you or other people, means that you are trying to take out lots of different loans, or people are checking on you to see whether that, you can afford this. And it's something like they expect that you would take out, like, on average, I don't know, like, maybe 2 loans or something a year, and if you start checking it more than that, then it's a sign that people are checking for fraud for you. I don't know. I think it's a very stupid reason, but it is true. And there are some sites which will not lower your score specifically if you check on there, et cetera. If you go to your bank and say, how do I check my credit score without it being lowered, they'll give you information. Okay, so this is like a chart. It is per $100. So for every $100 that you want to take a loan out for, this is how much you're paying. This is 13.5% annual percentage rate, 17.6% annual percentage rate. So these are not ridiculous numbers to have on a loan. And let's imagine that you've got a 13.5 interest rate and you're taking out an $80,000 loan. It means you're paying $10,800 the first year in interest. Just interest. And if you can't pay that off, then now you're at $90,800 that you owe the bank. You see how it's easy to like spin out of control? That's why you have to make sure that you go through the bank, and that the nice thing about the bank is that they will calculate your income and they will calculate what you can afford and what you can't. So they're not going to let you, because, I mean, banks are a business, right? And do they want to squeeze you for every penny?
Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of do, but they don't want to give you a loan that you don't have any way of paying back, because then they lose money. So they want to find a loan for you that you could pay back, but if you're an idiot and instead you buy a boat from your friend and you can't pay back your loan this month, then they're making a profit, you see. Okay, let's start with this one. So $500, 13.5% for 6 months. Okay, so the first thing we're going to figure out is the interest. So how many hundreds of dollars is this? 5. I'm going to write a 5 next to it. It's $500s. I'm going to look in my chart, find 13.5% interest. I've got 3.974. 3.974. I'm going to multiply that by 5. And that is how much interest I am going to pay on this loan. Can anybody think of how I'd figure out my monthly payment to pay my loan back? Connor?
So could you do the interest divided by, how many months?
But you're not just paying back the interest, you're also paying back what you borrowed. Do you know what I mean? Like, you borrowed $500. That'd be awesome. Can you imagine how cool that would be if you're like, the bank's like, we'll give you $500 and over the next 6 months you have to pay us about $20. I'd be like, great deal. I'll take it every time. We also have to pay back that $500 as well. Yep? Renee, no?
Okay, so I might be wrong.
'Kay.
Do you have to like add the interest onto the amount borrowed?
Yes?
And then
And then,
do what Connor said?
yes, and then do what Connor said. So first you take the 500 plus 1987, and then you're going to divide by 6, which is what Connor said. So I'm going to write it right here. I'm going to write 500 plus 1987. That means every month you are paying $86.65.
Wait, I'm calculating 500 plus 1987, right? Divided by 6.
Did you do it all at once?
Yeah.
If you do it all at once, which you can do, you have to put parentheses around the first stuff. Because remember that order of operations will do division first. So if you put parentheses around the first stuff and then divide by 6, you'll get the right answer. You probably got a number that was way higher.
Yeah, I got 503 on a total payment.
Right.